Welcome to the Life in My Name podcast. I'm so happy you're here sharing this moment, this space with me. I've been doing a pretty much series, we could call it, talking about number one, and now I'm on number two. And this is a podcast where I'll share a little bit more, at least past the size of a reel, to expand and explain to the extent that I hope you can understand what it's at least about. The number two. Number two is a feminine number. And compared to number one, being a masculine number, where if we're talking about creation, right? When we think about Adam, when we think about Eve, Adam can represent the masculine force. And Adam being the the first man, at least according to what I understand, he being the man gave the seed to Eve. And Eve having children. So that's that energy of the masculine giving to the feminine, and then the feminine having the seed, multiplying it through that force of giving and receiving, that force of manifestation. So the number two has the capacity to receive. And that force of being able to receive is what I like to talk about in regards to number two, because a lot of things in life can really tap into that force of receiving. It's like the driving force that each human being has consciously or subconsciously within them of wanting to receive. It could be wanting to receive money, it could be relationships, health, and it could be love. It can be anything. But I believe as human beings, it's very natural and common for us to have that desire to receive at least something, to receive life, right? That being said, number two can give us those tips, those ways for us to expand our capacity to receive. And within that, it's good for us to be aware that there's two sides to this game of life. There's two sides, and these sides involve the negative side and the positive side. And within those two sides, when we understand that in each moment, everything that we do is being put on a scale of cause and effect, that can help us make better decisions. Because when things start coming back at us, we can at least try to remember the things that we've planted. Because when it comes back, it's within that scale or that range of the positive and the negative. Reason why I'm saying all this is it's also part of that whole picture of receiving, because sometimes as human beings, we tend to be frustrated and not enjoy the fact that the things that we are receiving, we may want to blame situations, we may want to blame other people for the way things present themselves to us, forgetting that it is us that we also planted in some way in either other people's lives. We could have judged, we could have lied to ourselves and others, betrayal, all that. It all adds up. And that process of expanding our vessel, expanding our capacity to receive good things, we are the major participants on how things turn out for us. We are the ones that have access to changing our own story, to rewriting our own script. And the work starts now. The two sides that I mentioned, those sides are actually for our benefits. Think of it this way. When raising a child, or when you're a child, or when you raise a child of your own, or when you experience a child being raised, raising of a child, let's just keep it simple. It's the moment where a child does something, they can also receive a consequence right after they do it. It could be from their parent, it could be from what they did and they hurt themselves. But then the point I want to raise is sometimes when a child does something that is not good, the parent can give them maybe a punishment so that they can learn from their mistakes. Because for the most part, the parent is coming from love. And this love is what forces the parent to take the next step for the child to understand that this is not a good way to act, or this is not good words to say. All this to say, the parent of ours is the creator. And the things that come to us, it could be those negative things, can be like the punishment, or the punishment that a person gives to their child for them to get it, for it to land within themselves. That's pretty much it. And if we see it from that perception, sometimes we may be grateful when these things that we may perceive as not so cool or not so great, when they present in our lives, we may start to think, okay, there's something for me to learn in this. And with that, gratitude can lighten the burden very much. It works, guys. I'm telling you this from experience. It's the way we perceive these situations, the way we perceive certain things can make our lives better and can make us not judge situations or judge others and blame other things and people in our lives. Because all this, the relationships in our lives, the things, the situations in our lives are there as things to serve us or to help us. So again, if it's people, it's all for our benefit. It's the love of the creator. Just like the people that are born with siblings, those siblings are there to also help us evolve. The friends that we have, the bosses, the customers, the clients, everybody is there for our greater good. It then takes me to relationships, because number two, that's where relationships start. Number one is just by themselves. They do the things that by themselves. They solve problems by themselves. Number ones do that. But number two is like that person that is like, hey, can you help me with this? What do you think about this? What should we do about this? That's where the we starts. That's where the us starts. And it's very important for us as human beings to value our relationships, because they are there for our own development, spiritually, physically, and in many areas, in many levels. These relationships are there to show us who we are. They are there as a reflection of what it is that we have within our hearts. If a person wrongs us, if we really do not look at it as something that is not meant for us to learn from whatever situation that the person brings to us, if we don't look at it that way, we may not even feel any negative feelings or maybe feel offended by what the person would have done. But if we greet it as a lesson and say, okay, the creator brought this person to me, the creator brought this situation for me in my path, then trust me, it makes the burden lighter. We may not even feel feelings of resentment in our hearts because we see these situations as lessons along our way. Because remember, the Creator puts these people in our lives. The Creator knows it all. And the number two is it's very intuitive. So this conversation of not having resentment, it brings me to remember the heart. The heart is very much connected with this number two because number two feels a lot. Two feels to the extent that that's the number that has so much memory. They retain a lot within themselves. They feel it all. They ask within their hearts if something is good for them. You know, the heart is very, very intuitive. It there's actually some studies, don't quote me on this, but there's some studies that show that the heart can have the capacity to respond to something before the brain registers it, just from that intuitive capacity. I remember one day when I was driving a car and I was so tired and it was at night and I was driving. And I started feeling so sleepy. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm almost home. But then I could not, like, my eyes could not just wake up, even though I was very close to home. So I fell asleep on the steering wheel. And it was my heart that started beating so much and so fast that it woke me up and I was up for the rest of the trip. Thank God I was almost home. But imagine that the way my heart beat so vividly, it woke me up. And when I woke up, my car was already off, like on its way off the road towards getting in the forest. Thank God there were no other cars. So that's the intuition of the heart. And cleaning our hearts, it's actually something that is for our benefits because when we clean our hearts, it opens it up for Jesus to live within us, for the superior force, for the light to live within us. And resentment, things like grudges, all these things that weigh our hearts, it's not even worth it. Because the benefits that come from having a clean heart, for instance, the intuition, getting to know things ahead of time, getting those warning signs, getting to know just from listening to our hearts, that's a whole nother level. It's a very high level of understanding the divine. So, two, being very intuitive, it also comes with the work of cleaning our hearts, and it also comes with the work of listening to our hearts, our feelings, and letting things go. Because when we are holding on to things, especially this number two, it has also the other side of attracting negative illness or illnesses, all from that holding on to feelings and not letting it go. if we can remind ourselves that everything happens for our lives for a reason and that it is all for us to evolve and not take things personal, not judge others for their actions, and knowing that all these are lessons that we need in our lives, and also know that these are also things that we planted in some way, some form in our lives. And this is just the energy, the karmic energy that is just looking for balance, because everything needs that balance. It has to cleanse itself within us and outside of us. So these things that come, it's a process of cleansing. And if we greet it from that perspective, it helps a lot. We won't have to have those feelings of resentment or having that desire to be mean and to betray other people. And number two also has that capacity to be submissive. It opens up itself. It's actually is a very, very sweet number. People with this number are very good people. And by the way, next year is going to be a year two. This year is a year one. But anyway, people with this number are very, very nice, very much, they're like the middlemen. Those are the people that know who has this and who has that, and connect people together. So it's people with this number, very good people to have around. I mean, all numbers, so people with all numbers are awesome. And we all go through these numbers in different phases of our lives. So we all have these numbers within us. And it, that submissiveness, it sometimes shows up in people that have it as not being able to speak up for the self, not being able to say no to certain things. And I mentioned in the reels that I've been posting that for some women, this presents as a weakness, especially people with this number, that to where they sometimes end up not having boundaries from that, well, from situations where maybe they're approached by men. It could be married men, it could be any men that they honestly don't want to be with, but then they just do it just for the sake of not feeling like it's a nice way to say no, or it's good to say yes all the time out of respect. It doesn't always work like that. And especially, at least I've noticed from African women or women from my country. I'm from Zimbabwe, and this applies to everybody to some extent. So, all this to say, two can also have that strength to believe in themselves, to love themselves enough to say no, to love themselves enough to not be the cause to break another person's relationship, could be their marriage, to not be the key to someone to betrayal in any form. And again, it will come back. It will come back in some way, in some form, and it's not worth it. It's really not worth it. If some person approaches you or and they're married or they're in a relationship, it's good to really look at ourselves and see, okay, what if I was in that situation, so much in love with my man or my woman or whatever, and someone else is either pursuing or trying to be with my person, how would I feel? And I see that very helpful to answer in many situations in our lives, not only relationships, but just before doing stuff. It's good to check on ourselves and reflect within ourselves what we would want done to us. It makes life so much easier, it brings peace. And I really wish you all the best. This journey is work, and Each step is very important for us to really reflect and see where we at. Just checking in with ourselves, checking in on others, because relationships are very important and they help us evolve by reflecting what's within us. Because something as well that I've heard is the relationships around us is a very good way to see our relationships with the creator. That's a very clear mirror and a very clear reflection of our relationship with the creator. So it's good to value them and be grateful for them because some others don't have those. Anyway, have a blessed day and please share this podcast. You can join as well the Facebook group that I have not yet started being really active on, but then it's still very new. So feel free to get in there, ask me questions, and I can respond. I'll start posting and sharing more information in there as the group is growing. Also, feel free to book a numerology reading for yourself, get to know yourself better, or gift another person. It doesn't always have to be about yourself. So do it for fun or do it as a couples thing. Reach out with your partner and just have fun. Get to know yourself, your other better as well, and enjoy.